questions for each of us. 3 lights in our Nashville community, making a difference worldwide. Please help me welcome to the stage the wonderful Representative Justin Jones.
Well, what a special room and necessary space to be in this moment in our history, in this moment in our nation. Thank you all for joining us, and we are so excited. I'm personally excited to be here with 2 of my dear sisters in the movement who have been some of the most vocal voices fighting for justice and love and beloved community here in Tennessee, the heart of Tennessee here in Nashville. So much good trouble going on at the Capitol, and so just honored to be with you all. I just want to jump right into it. If anybody needs to look at their bio, you can find it on the app. We're going to skip straight to the good stuff. And so, yes. Just want to start by saying, history of being engaged. A lot of people may have saw the Tennessee 3. I don't know if they know that Margo Price is somebody who brought a megaphone that day and kind of started conniving, scheming some of that good trouble.
Leading chants. Outside.
Sister Allison has been such an amazing sister. When they came after our trans community in Nashville, Organized Love is Rising, and again, Drag Show said, if you come for one of us, you come for all of us, and it's just somebody who is a light and a healer. I know for me personally, for so many of us. And so I just want to ask you, we know that you are an inspiration to us, but I just want to take us back to who was that inspiration for you? Let's take us back to that moment of a song, of an artist who spoke life to you and it kind of helped you be led on the path that you are now. Maybe we'll start with Sister Allison.
Well, for me, it was Tracy Chapman. And I was, to give you a little context, I was a queer Black child being raised by a white supremacist adoptive family in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. My adoptive father, who's old enough to be my grandfather, old enough to be my mom's father, is an American expat from a part of Indiana that when he was a child was a de facto sundown town. So he was indoctrinated into a violent ideology, and he brought that forward. And he was harmed as a child, and he paid the harm for it. So I had a difficult time. And for me, how that worked in my little spirit and psyche was self-hatred and self-harm. So when I was 9, I got on a plane for the first time, and I went from Montreal to Edmonton. And I wasn't really allowed to listen to anything after like the Baroque period of classical music when I was home. And when I got to Edmonton, I got in a car with my uncle. We drove through the Rocky Mountains, which didn't look real to me. I felt like I was in a dreamscape. And he played me Tracy Chapman's Tracy Chapman. And I heard this song, Behind the Wall. And suddenly, I had this context that what was happening to me was wrong. That I wasn't alone, that this had happened to other people. And here's this beautiful Black woman. I remember I'm old, y'all, this was back in the days of tapes, right? So I was unfolding the tape, and here's this beautiful Black woman. And I'm reading all her lyrics. She's written these songs. I didn't know you could write songs if you weren't a dead German composer. It was really, really revelatory. It was liberatory. It was galvanizing, and I just remember weeping because we were the family behind the wall. I was living that kind of domestic abuse. And to know I wasn't alone, to know that this powerful, beautiful Black woman could write and sing like that was the beginning of freedom for me. So for me, Tracy Chapman is a freedom singer. And, the personal is political. Just, we can't, how everything, that who we are and what everything, oh yeah, I heard it.
Last night I heard the screaming, loud voices behind the wall. Another sleepless night for me, it won't do no good to call the police. Always come late if they come at all. Last night I heard the screaming, loud And when they arrive, they say they can't interfere with domestic affairs. Between a man and his wife, and as they walk out the door, the tears well up in her eyes. Last night I heard the screaming, in a silence that chilled my soul. Prayed that I was dreaming when I saw the evidence in the road. And the policeman said, I'm here to keep the peace. Will the crowd disperse? I think we all could use some sleep. Last night I heard the screaming, loud voices behind the wall. Another sleepless night for me, it won't do no good to call the police. Always come late if they come at all.
Thank you so much, Sister Tracy Chapman is a freedom singer. I don't know about you, but that just chills. Thank you for sharing. And to Sister Margo, the same question.
I don't know if I'm going to be quite as eloquent. I'm running on 4 hours sleep, just said that. But I think, for me, I felt when I moved to Nashville, had this ex-boyfriend gave me a burned CD of Bob Dylan, and Blowing in the Wind, like Poor Lonesome Death of Hattie Carroll. I mean, so many songs. Masters of War. Those songs just like blew my mind wide open. And Joan Baez and John Lennon, Give Peace a Chance, like Power to the People. Those songs, like I was listening to them in my formative years, and they just completely changed the direction of what I thought that I wanted to do. And then I started listening to the Kinks, and I just loved that they also wrote about social issues, political issues, but it was conveyed by their experiences. And I think that is when you're writing a song, it's like, let me show you what it's like in my shoes. My husband and I formed a band that was called Secret Handshake, and I was 21, 22 years old, and we were playing bars in Nashville, and we were like, we're not gonna write any love songs. It's all gonna be political songs, and then we're going around to bars in Nashville and just clearing the rooms out. Like people were like, I had a song called Architects of War, it was like, another song called Bloodshed. There's, and I was just learning how to do it. I think it's very hard sometimes to write a political song that just doesn't come off like, it can be cringe, as the kids are saying these days. But I had to do it to learn how to do it. And I think, finally, 10 years later, I was able to do it in a more graceful way. But those songs and those experiences, they just shaped who I was. I mean, we went up to DC and protested the Iran war, and I was just so turned on by Mavis Staples, Nina Simone, like I said, Joan Baez, and just anybody that was willing to really, put themselves out there. It was exciting to me, and it was also frightening to watch, because there was so much blowback that they would get, and I think even today we're still probably dealing with it. It's in different ways, but it's a double-edged sword for sure.
I think they're gonna play an excerpt of Blowing in the Wind.
How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? How many seas must a white duck sail before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, and how many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer
You know, I'm gonna go off the script a little bit. Anybody who knows me knows I'm not good at reading from reading from paper. So I just want to just say that from that song too, for both Margo and Allison, one of the things I appreciate about you is that, and we were kind of talking about this a little backstage, is that you are both so grounded in our elders and in the lineage. And so Margo, we were just with the Joan for a tribute. We were honoring one of our dear continued lights in the movement, and Allison just made the staples. And I just remember going to your house and just we both geeked out over the James Baldwin signature in your book, and like just to know that we stand in the lineage. And I think that's power. And so can you talk about that a little bit more about kind of what we were talking about our connection to this being a multi-generational struggle, and even the role of music. That song was written way before my lifetime, but it still transcends and speaks to our current moment, particularly right now. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I feel like music is the mycelial network of a human family, our one human race, our one human species, our one human family. And I think it's our birthright. And I think it's the way that we learn between generations. I mean, we know this instinctively. You learn to brush your teeth because your parents taught you, in my case, plus, les dents, you know, like we took ABCs. We learn to read, we learn to speak, we learn how to be members of our community through song. So much of early childhood learning is through song, and I think we need it all through our lives. It's a connective tissue. I think things are a little topsy-turvy at the moment, where I hear so many people say things like, I can't possibly sing, or I'm not a good singer. It's our birthright. It's the way we communicate, and it's the way we open our limbic systems to each other. When we're in community like this, there is something physiological that happens, and I'm not a scientist, but there are scientists now who've studied this. Literally, when we do this and we share music in circle, and Representative John Lewis talks about this. He talks about when he was at Highlander Center right here in Tennessee, his first time swimming in an integrated pool. And by the way, we have no public pools in Tennessee because the racism was so entrenched that when integration came, officials would rather remove the pools for everybody, including the white children, than allow us into that pool. And that's an ongoing, our babies still don't have public pools here in Nashville except Centennial. Now we have no outdoor public pool. There's not one. It's 100 degrees all summer long. No public. We got to circle up on that and write a song for it. But you know what I'm saying? This is a long and tangential way to say that it is completely inseparable in the same ways that we are inseparable. And our generations, there's a fracturing that has happened within our overemphasis on siloing families, right? We have in North America, we have this issue in Canada too, as well as America, this intense nuclear siloing, and very few spaces left where there's communal, collective singing or sharing between generations. You know, I know that people that are members of faith communities often get to have that in their faith communities, but many of us who are intersections that get rejected by various faiths, whether it's because we're queer or because our gender identity, whatever it is, are outside of that or felt, as in my case, traumatized by faith communities in my childhood. Where I found it was folk festivals. You know, I was a little runaway. I left home at 15, and I was so lucky to follow my ears and to follow the music and to find the people that were making the music who could accept me as I was. And we started to be our own little revolutionaries together. And I got to meet Mother Odetta on stage at the Vancouver Folk Festival when I was 19 or 20 in my first baby band program, right? I got to meet her and I sobbed, and she reached over and tapped my knee. She's like, well, that's done now, so now you can sing. You know, on stage. That's where, so meeting her in real life, that was a blessing, and it was also a torch. It was like, this is what we do, and we keep paying it forward, and we keep paying it forward, and we find each other. And the tangent I was going to say, Representative John Lewis talked about how they could not have done what they did on the Summit Bridge, taking those blows, had it not been for the music. The music is what helped them get into almost like a transcendent collective state where they could sit there and take blows. We've, I think, collectively forgotten that kind of discipline. It's really difficult. And we're still lucky enough to have some of the freedom riders with us, still living. We have elders from indigenous traditions that also understand that nonviolence is the only way, and they're able to say that even as they have survived a continuing, ongoing, slow-moving genocide in Canada. We have acknowledged that what we did to our indigenous peoples is genocide. And we have stopped short. We got to truth and reconciliation, but we stopped short of reparation. So we've only paid lip service, but we've named it. We haven't even named it yet in this country. There's still residential schools open today in the Dakotas. There are missing and murdered women every day that we don't hear about on the front pages, the way we hear about political violence on the front pages. But that's political violence too, right? And it's ongoing. And when I met an elder yesterday who said to me, our job to liberate ourselves and to break intergenerational curses of violence is to forgive the unforgivable. And if he can say that to me, if he can forgive the unforgivable, then I must too. And that's how we break these cycles. And when we talk about activism or art, what we're talking about really, or politics, what does that even mean? It's always people. It's how we treat each other. It's who is denied access to the equal rights, to the life, the liberty, the pursuit of happiness that we declared imperfectly in the beginning. It was only landed gentry men, right? But we've expanded it with all these wonderful amendments, like the 19th Amendment and the 13th Amendment, all these amendments. The 13th imperfect as well, where it continued to allow slavery through imprisonment. But we are reaching towards this collective liberation, and the individual can only thrive when the community thrives. And so I think when we sing to each other, some of those built-up bigotries and fears just naturally break down. Because everyone can change, everyone can unlearn. I was raised by white supremacists. I am daily unlearning. Of course, it had a different effect on me because of the body I live in, right? It turned in, it was self-harm, it was self-hatred. But I think it's that for people that are trapped in these ideologies, these false, toxic ideologies of supremacy. I think it isolates and harms them more than the ones they're trying to suppress and dehumanize. I really do.
And same to you, Margo. I know coming up Farm Aid, fighting for our farmers, working with Willie Nelson, being with Joan, you saying that lineage and that connection to those who came before, and I think they see you also as an heir and a continuation of that, of somebody who's willing to use your music as a form of activism, and whether that's playing at the Capitol or going on tour. And so I just want to, what is the role of elders and those who have come before that informs your movement as an artist and as an activist?
I think anytime you're singing a message, it's kind of like that spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. Where it just softens it and it opens people up to receive maybe news that they would not otherwise take into their system. And, Joan has been such an inspiration to me in so many ways. And I began singing Woody Guthrie's Deportees back when I was 20 years old. That was one of the first songs that I learned, and 20 years later, I'm still playing it. I played at that benefit that we did with Joan, and Linda Ronstadt was there, and she's also has been political at times and spoke up for things. And she after she heard me sing that, she said, "I really love that you young kids," which made me laugh. That you young kids are keeping these songs alive, and I think it can be frightening to use your platform in these times, but singing the message, and when we sing together, we're stronger together. When we lift our voices together, it's such a powerful thing, and I just feel really grateful that there's been people like Odetta, like Joan, who've laid out this blueprint, and then you can come in and step into those shoes and say no, I want to be more than just a pretty face, or just people can get really lost in the pageantry of everything, and I think that we forget that art it has a message, and like you said, it's not just politics, it's just social issues. We're all humans, we all are going through this life and trying to figure out what's right and what's wrong. And we know that, you know, the Western media has warped minds and brainwashed people, and I think that music can be a part of the unbrainwashing. Yeah, at least that's what I hoped we could do with it. Amen.
Talking about the cost, I was going to talk about one of my favorite songs of yours that actually stirred up a little bit of controversy here in Nashville. There's a thing that we do with the legislature when somebody from our community wins an award or does something that is honorable. We pass a resolution, and it's very straightforward. And usually, there's never any issue. It's only happened probably 3 times in the Tennessee House, and one of them was your song, Allison. After you won a Grammy, I filed 2 resolutions, one for you, one for Paramore, both folks in Nashville who won a Grammy, and coincidentally, only one was blocked on the House floor. And I went over and asked the Republican majority leader, you know, what was the issue? Was it, you know, something in the resolution? He said, well, I don't like the title of the song. Our members don't like the title of the song. That song is called Eve Was Black. I said, well, you're not going to like Eve when you meet her. So, actually, let's hear an excerpt of that song where you talk a little bit about that.
One of the things that I always do now live with that song, especially when we are in majority white audiences, I preface it with this: no matter our differences, no matter our lineages, we are one human family. If you trace the double helix rainbow of our DNA, every one of our DNA back far enough, what you find is that mitochondria does not lie. The human genome has been mapped. We share a mother. We are all related. The concept of race is a racist construct meant to extract and exploit. It is not a scientific truth. It is a falsehood. It is a hoodwink. It is a lie. You trace the double helix rainbow line of every one of our DNA back front of, we share a mother, and she first stood tall, proud, creative, communal, imaginative, resilient, on 2 strong feet on the continent we now call Africa.
Yeah.
That's it. All children are our children, no exceptions, including our inner children, I might add. Extend that grace to each of us, all of us adults. All children are our children.
I think the song really just called out something ancestral in that building, and I think it unsettled people because that song, we were honoring in the building where there's a statue honoring the KKK that was put up in 1978 that they refused to take down until 2021. A statue that honors those who were Confederates, that honors those who were, committed genocide against the indigenous community, but yet that was the thing that we said, we don't want to talk about that. And so I thank you for your work and your music, and I think that blocking of it actually the exact opposite effect, where I think it got featured on the news.
It was ridiculous. I went to Gail King. I was like, what is going on? You know, this is ridiculous.
Genius marketing.
I guess
they have a song. It's so good.
And I also want to give a shout out to the wonderful Haley Williams, because it was really her making a public refusal to accept Paramore's resolution if mine wasn't also accepted. It was such beautiful, again, the coalition, right? Of
Learning how to be an ally.
And being an ally, and we are in circle together, we're in community together. And of course, she has a much larger platform, so her even naming that sent that song out even further, and I'm very grateful to her.
You ever seen The Color Purple? Say, everything you've done to me, already been done to you. And so that's what we saw happen. And you know, Margo, I was so excited. I got to go to Grimey's to hear your. Was it at midnight?
It was late. It was too late.
Like, it was past my bedtime. But it was the most beautiful album. What an honor to be able to have access to live music like that in Nashville. It's one of the beauties of living here for your new album. And there's 2 songs that really stuck out. One that I think is really appropriate, Don't Let the Bastards Get You Down.
Sometimes we say don't let the fascists get you down on the
I was like, there's also bumper stickers if you'd like to put one on your car or on the car of your lawmaker.
That's right.
And so,
We almost did that for marketing. They were really gonna do it.
I'm like trying to stick to these notes. I'm sorry.
That's great.
And so yes, don't let the bastards get you down. And also another amazing song that we want to play excerpt of is "Don't Wake Me Up," and just talking about, you know, where is it that we are able to be our authentic selves? We're living in a time right now where so often we're told to contort ourselves to, you know, make ourselves feel smaller in order to make these systems of oppression feel more comfortable and more acceptable. And so, but this song I think is an antithesis. It is a challenge to that. And so, can we hear an excerpt of that, DJ?
Woo!
Dreaming as an act of resistance. Can you talk to us a little bit about this song and what inspired it and what is, you know, the message in this moment?
I think we're all living in this like time that we've never had to live in before, where, you know, we're getting so much information at us. The news cycle can be really toxic, and it can be really hard on our nervous systems, honestly, to take it all in. I mean, just school shootings day after day, everything. It just feels so overwhelming, and it's almost just about taking back like just a little bit of your peace and being able to say, like, these are the things that I can change, and these are the things I cannot change, and then, you know, trying to work within those like realm, those, you know, those like boundaries, and, you know, also like just the Buddhist way of thinking. I'm a highly sensitive, really, you know, highly feeling person, and I know y'all probably are too. It's just, it's unfathomable, the things that we're seeing, and I just wanted to be able to write a song that was like, I mean, we are going to be dead, You know, we've only got this small amount of time, and I see so many people kind of just like, you know, ride the center, and they don't want to ruffle any feathers, and they don't want to say anything that might make anybody mad, but like, I just couldn't sleep at night if I was silent about all these injustices we're seeing. And so, yeah, Don't Wake Me Up kind of came as like just like taking a little bit of my peace back. And yeah, just sometimes you do have to unplug and just, you know, it doesn't mean don't be informed and don't, you know, stay up on current topics and try to do something, but like take those rests and allow yourself to dream and allow yourself to be happy sometimes, even when it's hard. And I can't say things, or, you know, to tone it down, and I think that we are at such a crucial time in the loss of our democracy. It's like, you've got to be able to sing truth to power, and, you know, yeah, let's dream of a better world.
Dream and don't let the bastards get you down.
Right.
And so I just want to ask both of you too, what is, if you won't mind sharing, your favorite song of each other's, and you talk about that, and let's kind of get into that a little bit.
You know, here we are on September 11th, and I think there's a collective trauma in all of ourselves, even for those who weren't yet born on September 11th, 2001, that resonates down. And all these acts of violence, I have started to really feel this since becoming a mother, especially 11 years ago. My daughter's 11. This connection to all the other mammals, not just humans that gave birth. It was like this bizarre when I had my daughter. It's like, I'm a whale, I'm a wolf. I cry a lot on stage. I feel that the levels of harm and violence that are happening to humans all over, including right here, 600 kids stolen in the night in our country. This is not who anyone wants to be, I don't believe. I just don't believe it. And what you're talking about, this dream, there is when we allow ourselves to feel it. I think so often we're opiating ourselves in various ways, whether it's with actual opioids or it's with an addiction to, you know, junk series or whatever, or it's like a video game, or it's disassociating, you know, like whatever it is. I think so often we're checking out because it's very, very painful, and we're feeling this pain reverberating, all because we're intertwined, and we can't not be. And I think it points back to what you were speaking on, of bringing our intergenerations, reminding each other that we have each other actually, and we don't, these distortions, these online distortions don't accurately reflect us. They're not. No one is as awful as that, no one is as good as that. There's a negativity bias that is so entrenched in the algorithms, you know, and people have tried to warn, Tinit Jabrou tried to warn us ages ago from Google. She left Google, and there was all of this, but that negativity bias is also interacting with the biological negativity bias that once maybe helped us, like back in the, we were running from saber-toothed tigers, maybe it was helpful. It is not helpful now. And part of, I think, what these kinds of us, even just coming together today, making music together, bringing music into spaces, it's not just music, it's any kind of humanities, any kind of art, helps us collectively bring that cortisol level down. It boosts our serotonin, it boosts our oxytocin, it literally makes us less fearful and more loving and more able to see and hear each other, and to maybe find our way to better decision making collectively for our communities and how we want, who we want to be, and how we dream it. And I want to shout out, I met an amazing young woman yesterday named Aditi, and she began an organization called Democracy 2076. And the whole point, and you can go to the website, and I encourage everyone to go to the website. She wants all of us to engage in a collective imaginative exercise of what would our protopian, not utopian, you know we're going to get to utopian, but protopian democracy look like in 2076. if we're able to collectively solve, what can we imagine? Because we're so caught up in often the shock and awe, right? It's like shock and awe tactics of like one horror after another, one horrific abuse, human rights abuse, civil rights abuse after another, where it's the like, attention economy, and we're just going to the next thing, and we can't collectively imagine something better. And I think it's so profound that when we need to lower that cortisol, come back in, and then actively imagine what do we want for our communities, what do we want for our grandkids and their grandkids, you know, and again that comes back to indigenous wisdom that we once so despised, and yet we're learning as science learns more, it comes right back to indigenous wisdom. Think 7 generations ahead. That is a tenet in so many indigenous wisdoms that I have been just beginning to learn. 7 generations ahead. It's not what we're doing now, it's 7 generations ahead. You know, and so we can begin to do that together, I think. And art, those imaginative leaps, that's what art does for us. You know.
Members of the Huntington Congress, distinguished guests, and fellow Americans all across our land. Let me begin by saying to our
Woke up from a movie I immediately forgot. Got a heartache on the bottom and a headache on the top. The part of me that hurts the worst is the one I just can't spot. And it's all American made. Well, everywhere I go, somebody puts me in the dirt. And everything I say, somebody says they said it first. But I don't need 10 million, baby, just give me one that works. It's all American made. Well, I have been all
You know what, I'm gonna ask you to continue playing it, because I really want you to hear this next part.
Something in my bloodline, or something in my gut says go to California in a rusted pickup truck. It's all American made.
That's why I wanted to play it.
After the chorus is where it really gets good. After the lead is where it gets good. It's funny because when I was putting that record together, Randy Carlisle was like, "This is career suicide." A song called Pay Gap, and I mean, yeah. And then it was funny how when I wrote that song, well, first of all, I say I ran. And I know that I'm pronouncing it wrong. I mean, it's like where I'm from, that's how everybody said it, you know? And so I say I ran, and I've been debating whether I should change the words so I can pronounce it properly, but it just kind of shows where I'm from. But also the thing that really changed when that song, I'd written it, you know, when Obama was president, and so I say, I wonder if the president gets much sleep at night, and you know, I was just like, oh, but he's got so much to do, and he's so busy, and then when it's like the album came out, Trump got elected immediately, and I changed it to, I wonder how the president gets much sleep at night, because it's like, how do people sleep at night when they're doing these evil things, you know? And I just love, I've kept that song in the rotation, I love singing it, thank you for picking it.
Well, and how it resonates even more deeply and sort of fearfully now for me, with how this president has to my view, metastasized into a very, very scary authoritarian mandate that he feels that he has, it seems. And I think about that man's little baby inner child and how hurt that kid must have been, how hurt that kid must have been, and the harm, the exponential harm it's doing. But that you reference Reagan selling, we have been selling weapons around the world for so long and probably, do you know what, my adoptive father used to tell me, and I was a little queer black Canadian kid, right, being raised by this man who was born in 1936 in Indiana, yeah? So he would say to me, war is good for the economy. Well, it was good for the American economy because out of the Second World War, America sold arms to all sides and then only entered the war in 1945, you know? And so sure, it was, and Britain essentially died as the world empire that it had been, and America rose. So in my father's mind, war is good for the economy. And apparently there's a lot of people that are still laboring under that delusion. War is not, whatever inflation to the economy war gives, our children pay for it, their grandchildren pay for it, we pay for it. We pay for it with our lives, we pay for it now if we are to believe, as I believe, the bulletin of atomic scientists who run the doomsday clock who are telling us we are this close to a precipice of our own mass extinction, let alone all the species we're already taking out with us. It's gone beyond, we have to think beyond partisan, we have to think we have one living planet, the only living planet that we know of in the universe. And we have to live on it, and we have to live on it together. Who do we want to be? And I think art can imagine who we want to be. And we can share that with each other, and we can see each other, and we become less fearful of each other, hopefully. And really, we have no choice. What's the option?
Well said. I have so many favorite songs of yours. I mean, when you put out, well, it was your first album. You've been doing it for a while, but I think
projects.
Yeah, different projects. But your first self-titled, it just blew me away. And I remember going to see you at the Blue Room, and you just knocked my socks off.
You sang with me at the Blue Room.
I did sing with you at the Blue Room. That was so fun.
There's a record out there somewhere of that.
Nice.
We have to ask.
We need to get
Jack and
better.
Bennett, because we recorded it direct to vinyl.
I've always loved Joyful Motherfuckers, and just the energy. I want to play a piece of that right now. Let's hear, I asked if I could say the bad words.
And it's only one time at the beginning to be your muff if it offends you.
There's no kids in here.
Where in the world are the joyful motherfuckers? Fearless lovers, the rainbow shooters, the wild acceptors, the hopeful sinners, the gentle teachers, the True forgivers et courageuses, les arbres, les enfants braves, les grands bergers, les lilets.
You got love in your heart, but it's way down in the dark.
You better let it see the sun. This world's almost done. Grandma always told me love will conquer hate. I don't know if it's too late. I don't know if it's too late. Hey you, who you think I'm talking to? Show what you got in your heart.
I'm so grateful to you, Margo was so supportive right from the very beginning and so welcoming, and has been that way. She, Brittany Howard used to sleep on her couch when she first came to town and stuff like that, right? Like she's been just uplifting and welcoming and creating community and paying forward like your whole time here, and I'm really grateful for your friendship. But the next bit of that, I want to touch on. That song for me is about trying to forgive the unforgivable. It's about, the next part is, blessings be upon the thief of my childhood, that ragged jackal, the loveless coward. Oh, my father, you were the thief of nothing. I'll be a child in the garden, 10,000 years and counting. And that is, I truly, and I feel the same way about our president as I do about my adoptive father. I forgive, but we have to mitigate the harm that they are causing. We cannot, forgiveness does not mean capitulation. Forgiveness does not mean, we cannot capitulate before we have lost. We have to organize non-violently. I must, the news yesterday was devastating. The reactions I found in some ways even more devastating. When we lose our moral compass out of anger, out of vengeance, out of grief, we become that which we repudiate. We become it. So when people say things like, he deserved it, that's not it. We can forgive, we need to forgive those who in the first flush of their trauma, that's what comes out of their mouth. We have to forgive that too. But we cannot operate from a place of vengeance, of violence, of shame and blame. It just doesn't work. We have to, as Brother Jasper from Standing Rock taught me yesterday, we have to learn to forgive the unforgivable in order to liberate ourselves from these endless cycles of harm and violence. It's the only way. It's the only way. So.
I gave you the signal over here. I know we could stay here for a little longer. It's like But I just want to thank you all. First of all, I just want to say Allison and Margo 2026. Be on the lookout for the ActBlue link sent to your emails. But I just want to thank you both because also, we didn't get into this, but I just want to mention that, Allison, you're from Canada, Margo is from Illinois, I was born in California, yet we are here in the South. And we know that so often, how often do we hear, go back, go, if you don't like it, go somewhere else. But we know that we are a community here because this place matters. That we represent a new South that is multiracial, multi-generational, So just to be here with you all, my dear sisters, and I just want to say to the audience that we want to leave you all with a message, and we want you all to join in with us, because we know that these are very difficult times, and that you know the saying that democracy dies in darkness. I say that creativity dies in isolation, and fascism thrives in both. We are connected for a reason, and I know that we shall overcome. So let's join together and sing "We Shall Overcome."
Let me be the staples and the staples.